Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation has organized a study tour for senior Egypt government officials from the Ministry of Planning, Monitoring and Administrative Reform. Deputy Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, Budima Namela, stated that the Egyptians will have a clear understanding of how South Africa government monitor and evaluate government-wide performance.
But just to highlight what we do, for instance, in terms of the National Development Plan, we see this, as an overarching long-term blueprint plan for our country. And the National Planning Commission, which is in place, is intended to advise government in terms of implementing the National Development Plan. And also that the country's budget be aligned to the National Development Plan. So in the past, what used to happen is Cabinet would meet, take a decision, and then the Treasury will determine what the priorities are. So what happens now is the country has adopted a National Development Plan, and on the basis of that, then Treasury then is guided in terms of the allocation of resources.
More than 10 Egyptian government officials attended the study tour. The purpose of the study tour was to enrich the knowledge of Egyptian government on South African experiences.
This study tour is more of a learning experience for the transitional democracy that South Africa has went through, and what are the obstacles that are impeded the way for implementation of development programs to make South Africa the South Africa we see today.
Of course, it's always recommended to share experiences, because as your Vice Minister explained today, it's always good to learn, but you also learn when you teach. And the cross-sharing of experiences is extremely valuable. And from our side also, I think there are a lot of good lessons that we can also teach to others. And in teaching others, we'll also learn. So let's keep this cross-knowledge sharing program moving on. Maybe it's for the good of all African nations. Of course, it's always recommended to share experiences, because as your Vice Minister explained today, it's always good to learn, but you also learn when you teach. And the cross-sharing of experiences is extremely valuable. And from our side also, I think there are a lot of good lessons that we can also teach to others. And in teaching others, we'll also learn. So let's keep this cross-knowledge sharing program moving on. Maybe it's for the good of all African nations.
As part of its responsibility for planning Egypt's development, Vice Minister of Planning, Monitoring and Administrative Reform, Dr. Nehal Mahdi, says they are currently in the process of creating sustainable development strategy for 2030.
We're starting the implementation. We just finished and launched the strategy, the long-term strategy, which aims at achieving for Egypt by 2030 that Egypt would become one of the top 30 countries in terms of its GDP, size of economy, and of the competitiveness to be top 30, and also in terms of human development, in terms of fighting corruption and the well-being of people.
It is expected that the discussions will enhance both South Africa and Egypt's understanding of national and performance monitoring and evaluation, said the Deputy Director General from the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation.
It is clear that we've got quite a number of similarities, and we think that in the areas of economic development, youth development, and of course, public policy planning, monitoring and evaluation, we've got a lot to share from each other. We therefore think that this session is just for establishing background and actually identifying the areas of cooperation. This is why today we're giving them everything that we offer as the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. And from there, they'll select areas of specific cooperation and perhaps areas that they would want us to support them in. And we have also identified already that we have a lot to learn from them in terms of youth development, policy coordination, monitoring as well as evaluation.
The South African government hoped that the result of this study tour will better equip Egyptian officials to modernize and implement government planning initiatives and public sector reform interventions.